I am a strong proponent of listening to what people have to say and taking their suggestions or recommendations and implementing their ideas into our operations. I'm also a very strong proponent of community-oriented policing and believe that each community is unique, and what may work in one community may not necessarily work in another. Therefore, we must be flexible and give the people what they want and be able to make those decisions that will attain our goals and objectives, as well as provide the various communities with a safe environment as well as quality service. We need a sheriff with the judgment to focus on things that are important to you and that will enable the Sheriff's Department to better serve the residents of Santa Barbara County. We need a sheriff who can provide the maximum with limited and constrained budgets. We need a sheriff who can deliver quality and responsive public safety. The office of sheriff needs to return to its roots of trust and respect. As your sheriff, my most important and immediate initiative would be to address the staffing and retention problems within our department. I'll provide the leadership necessary to enhance our ability to not only recruit, but more importantly, retain the men and women who proudly serve and protect all of our communities. My election will end the decade of an absentee sheriff. I, more than any other candidate, understand that public safety starts from the bottom up. I'll be accessible to all department employees, and the door to the sheriff's office will always be open to the employees as well as you, the general public. The sheriff's primary duty is to be accountable to all the citizens of Santa Barbara County. Public safety is not about partisanship, division between North County and South County, or political boundaries. Public safety is about putting the people first. It is about accountability and bringing ethics, honesty, leadership, and sound judgment back to the office of sheriff. In closing, I am the only candidate for Sheriff's Corner that has almost 32 years of continuous, loyal, and dedicated service with the Sheriff's Department. I possess the professional experience, formal education, self-discipline, communication skills, leadership, decision-making abilities, honesty, and personal integrity. My community involvement, proven track record of accomplishments, we're here to benefit the majority, not the minority. My flexibility, understanding, beliefs in traditional concepts with innovative ways, and the vision to accomplish goals for the betterment of the Sheriff's Department, our employees, and the people that we serve. Therefore, on June 6th, you have a choice. You can choose to maintain the status quo, or choose to improve public safety and restore trust and integrity to the office of sheriff. I'm the only candidate that has the work ethic, personal integrity, and commitment to be the sheriff for all the people. Public safety, not politics, needs to be returned to the office of sheriff. Remember, with your vote, together we can accomplish much. Thank you very much.
I will now ask 4 questions in sequence of each of the candidates. And the second question will be posed of repeat the question each time for each candidate, unless the candidate wants the question repeated. Please let me know and I will repeat the question at that time. Sheriff Anderson, there is an alarming problem with drugs, specifically methamphetamine, in the Santa Ynez Valley. What role do you see the Sheriff Department having in stopping the use of illegal drugs, including methamphetamine? And what specifically will you do as Sheriff to stop its use?
Well, there is a true problem with meth in this community and most other communities throughout Santa Barbara County and across the nation. Currently what we're doing is we're making presentations throughout the different communities in Santa Barbara County to heighten the awareness and educate the adult population in our county as to the specifics of this problem. We've conducted a series of those presentations throughout the county, and we're going to continue to conduct those presentations. So it's through education, and it's through a combination of education and enforcement. And most of our arrests now that take place in Santa Barbara County, I would say 80% of the people that are arrested are under the influence of meth. So it's a huge problem. This is a epidemic across the country, and we are currently taking action in Santa Barbara County to stem the tide of meth in this county. Not too long ago, we had a massive raid conducted down in the city of Goleta, where we confiscated over 55 pounds of meth from one home. So we have our narcotics task force in this county that is working on it. We have several investigators that do nothing but enforcement and investigation of narcotics violations. But most definitely, meth is a big problem in this county, and we hope to curtail that through education and enforcement.
Thank you. Chief Brown?
Excuse me, thank you. Sadly, the reality about methamphetamine and the Sheriff's Department's current approach to it is that it's a one-dimensional approach. It's enforcement only. As you heard previously, the DARE program was very sadly eliminated from the county areas served by the Sheriff's Department. I believe that the way to address the methamphetamine problem and all illegal drugs in our community has to be a three-pronged approach. There has to be enforcement, very strong and vigorous enforcement, and we generally do a pretty good job of that in law enforcement. But we've been hitting this problem with a law enforcement hammer for years, and the problem hasn't gone away. So there are two other critical elements to it. The first is prevention, is getting that education out in our schools to our young people. I'm proud to tell you that the Lompoc Police Department is the only police agency in this county which not only has the DARE program in elementary schools, we have it in our middle schools and in our high schools, because studies have shown that the follow-up program like that is the most effective at keeping kids away from drugs to begin with. The other thing that needs to be done is intervention and treatment. And the reality is we have only 24 detoxification beds in this county, and that's abysmal. We have a terrible crisis on our hands, and we have to work together as coalitions with other people and other groups, nonprofit organizations like Zona Seca, Good Samaritan, and others who are dedicated to doing something about taking people and getting them off of these drugs. We have to be part of those coalitions.
Thank you. Former Sheriff Thomas.
Education, I think, is the number one thing that we have to focus on. If you think back, how many people were smoking 10, 15 years ago, especially on the streets? And because of education and public education, it had a tremendous impact on people and what they did. We taught that in our schools with our kids. The DARE program, which I mentioned and Bill alluded to, was critical for our 5th and 6th graders. Absolutely critical, because that's the time that their minds are being shaped. Anecdotally, I can tell you from the DARE officers and from the kids themselves that they learned a tremendous amount, not only in the drugs, but also even in gangs. We have to teach those kids, and we have to give them the ability to talk to their parents. The DARE program caused the kids to talk to their parents because they had to complete an essay. Once that conversation starts to take place, then I think we're about halfway there because of the conversation that they can have with their parents. The enforcement issue is something I have a tremendous amount of experience at, more than anybody sitting up at the table here today. It's absolutely necessary, but it's holding the finger in the dike. It's something that has to be done. The issue of intervention is I started a program called the Sheriff's Treatment Program in the county jail. And it's the program that after you left the jail, you continued in the program. We had a 37% recidivism rate as opposed to an excess of a 60% recidivism rate for jails that did not have that kind of system. We worked very hard to take our people that were in custody and try and turn them around and give them a new life. Thank you.
Lieutenant Sheriff Arnaldi.
Yeah, there's not much more I can add. The three gentlemen have hit on it. Again, basically I'm on the enforcement end of it. I'm one of the two countywide watch commanders, and again, like all three gentlemen have said, methamphetamine is epidemic proportions out there, not only in the San Ynez Valley, it's countywide, every city within our county. And again, it's only through strong enforcement, education, as the sheriff said. We have a traveling show, shall we say, going around to the various PTAs in the various communities. I believe they came here to San Ynez High School. Senior Deputy Brown and gave a presentation with some other groups. And the public needs to be educated. You as parents need to be educated. Our children need to be educated.
Thank you. Former Sheriff Thomas.